Top of the morning to you. Hey, I'm Michael. Right in your face. Like, oh, where is that camera angle from? Thanks for being on the show. Jumped right out of that instead of showing you a little painting thing. Got a lot to cover today, and thanks. Here's actually the. I think this is the heads-up shot. Boom, there it is, right there. I'll be coming to you from this camera across there. I look back at this camera over here. When you see me turn, this is behind the scenes in the studio. I have a camera over there, okay, pointing right at it there. I have this camera here, which is a very poor camera because Roo needs a new computer. Trust me, this one is older. Noah used this on the Ark to keep a calendar on for 28 days, 29 days, 30 days. This is it. So it works, but it doesn't work real well. When I look at this camera, I keep thinking, I got to clean my glasses because that is just really blurry. But it's just the camera. I told somebody the other day, they said, you're blurry. And I said, I'm Bigfoot. No one's ever been able to get a picture of him because it's not their cameras. He's just blurry. And so that's where I am. So there's a camera. There's a camera here, which is this one here, which is just a really great professional camera. And then, of course, as I did the other day, I changed my desk camera, boom, to this shot, which is a little closer so I can move it in and out and get a little bit. Sometimes you see it in my other shot, but that's what I have. And I had another camera over there coming in this way, but it was kind of an angle that nobody liked, so I just got rid of it. The desk in its entirety is literally, if you laid a measuring tape across here, this piece of white paper that my hands are on now, there. From fingertips to elbow, I reach 18 inches, so it's 24 by 18. I can reach all the way across this. That's really all this much space you need to. You really need 3 by 3 feet, and here's why. Because I've got containers of pens and brushes and paper scraps. Oh my gosh! And I collect paper scraps like they're what can I say? I think all this paper. I cleaned off the desk a little bit this morning. There it is right there. I knew I had a sketch in here. Top of the morning to you. There it is right there. This paper is all wonderful watercolor paper. Ooh, there's a painting in there. I like that. That's one of my little fly rods. There's a Christmas painting held over, a little wren. But this is good paper. And I think sometimes I come in and I clip off, and there's an onion. Chip first sent me a picture of an onion and said, what would it look like if you painted this? Well, that's what it looked like to me when I painted it. I like painting vegetables, read it and weep. That'd be a great title for that, wouldn't it? There's another painting in there. I did these on this Canson paper. This paper is always yelling, pick me, pick me, pick me. And so sometimes I do. So this morning I thought I'd just pick some of it. This is Kilimanjaro, about 4.5 by 5 inch stuff. Great stuff. So I'll be using that. Let me say hello to some of you. Thank you for being on the show on this Saturday morning. Donna Bullman, thank you for jumping on right at the get-go there. January the 8th, 2022. Who would have thunk it, huh? Let me go to this shot right here, and you can see a little of both of me. So when I turn over here, I'm actually reading the comments that come in on my screen, and I don't see all of those, so I know I missed some. In the process of doing the show, I get to one track and I get into something and my head's down and I'm thinking that I don't remember. Sometimes I hear a little boink, like a drip of water come up, and that can tell me there's a comment coming in. Sometimes that's turned down. I don't hear it. So I try to go back and answer some of the comments because I'm interested in what you say, where you are, what you're thinking. I hope you're thinking like an artist. So let me continue to say good morning to you here just a little bit. And so Jackie Williamson Wallace, thank you for being on the show. Randall Taylor Craven, thank you for being here. Dorothy Beasley, cold and 10 degrees this morning. Whoa. Linda Lenhart on the other side. Happy, bright, and probably warmer. Blessings to the highly favored, she says. And that makes my heart sing. I really do believe I'm highly favored. That's not an arrogant comment. I just believe that the fact that I get to wake up in the mornings and look out across the driveway and see the sun hitting Dan's garage and know that Dan's got me by quite a few years and he's doing okay. I love that. We go over and Carol makes soup all the month of January. Made some great bean soup the other day. I'm telling you, you think bean soup? Come on. Sounds like a children's story, stone soup. Absolutely off the charts good. Great stuff. But I feel highly favored. So thank you so much for putting that in there. Morning from the hair raising cornfields. Yeah, well, there's some of that. I got some hair raising going on. Sometimes I actually have grown-ups ask me, your hair is long. Do you ever get a haircut? And I go, what do you think? What do you think? I haven't been in the wilderness 40 years. Well, close to it, but not hardly. People are funny what they say, huh? Morning, Skeeter Pal. Chilly here in Greenville. Blessings, my dear friend. Stephen Dockery, good morning to you. Brr. Stephen Dockery is a friend that I meet his family just in shopping center parking lots sometimes. They drive through, and he's got some creative children. One of them wants to be a blacksmith. John Robert Small, thanks for being on the show today. Susie DeLay, good morning to you. And you said Michael and fella Crewsters. Oh my gosh, I'm going to write that down. Crewsters. All right, Susie DeLay, I'll give you a little asterisk next to that right there. Crewsters. I like Crewsters. It reminds me of Creechsters, which was on the old Andy Griffith show by It's Me. How do you do, Mrs. Wiley? What was his name? Ernest T. Bass. That's it. Denise Albright, Roosters. Good morning, Roosters. Annette Wall, thank you for being on the show. Karen Binder, Karen Pikert, Jennifer Yentz from Frosty, Indiana. That sounds like a town, Frosty, Indiana. Gary, Indiana. I think that was from Music Man, yes. Linda Schleichning, thanks for being on the show. Jennifer Thistle, Trish Brown, I think I got a note from you. Denise Albright, loved your painting of the two dogs on the can telephone, the Campbell soup can. I don't know if it's Campbell's. Mine was a Campbell soup can with a piece of builder's twine between it. You know, it really works, right? Nancy Catlett, Jean Anthalzer, Sandy Rongish from Frozen, Kansas. Cheryl Johnson, Kathy Taylor, Chip Furr, what a great day to create. Yeah, Chip, I just talked about you. Chip sent me that onion. He said, hey, I found this onion that I want to see if I can learn to paint. What do you think about it? And I sat down and went, man, why didn't you pick something that was difficult? This was hard to paint, brother. And that's really not my best. Well, that's my best, but it's not the best I think I can do. But I'm going to have to paint 50 of them, and I'm not ready to weep that much just yet. So, Ruth Fulton, thanks for being on from the sunny green fields of Ireland. Whoa, we need to put that in quotes. From the sunny green fields of Ireland. Here, you just need to see that. Evening from the sunny green fields of Ireland. Great to be out and about, she says. Out and about again. Wow. My wife, I've never been to Ireland. I want to come there and walk through those green fields, but I figured I'd be walking through them in the misty rain. It's hard to paint watercolor in the rain, okay? Rosie B.G., thanks for being on the show. June Jones, always love paint peddlers. I love that. Don't you love that? We are paint peddlers. You know, I got to tell you this. I've been reading a little bit about Charles Schulz. You know who he is, right? Charles Schulz. Charles Schulz, in 2000, in 2000. Don't ever let me direct your calendar, because I don't know what year I'm right now. Somebody asked me the other day, when's your birthday? And I said, it's April. And they said, what year? And I go, every year, for heaven's sakes. What a silly question that is. It's every year. I'm highly favored. As long as I'm on this planet, it's every year. In 2000, Charles Schulz died after an illness, colon cancer. He had painted 18,000 panels for the newspaper. A panel, which meant probably 4 blocks with several characters in each block. Cartoonist. That's what he wanted to be from the time he was really a little kid. He went his military training. After the war, he came home. He had art classes as a high school student to be a cartoonist. He and his father read the Sunday cartoons growing up. They read them in the home. He wanted to be a cartoonist. And what happened was his stories of life came through all those characters, all of them, including the one who stole the show later on, Snoopy. Do you know, when I was in college for my short stint at the University of Tennessee in 1973, somewhere in there, A friend of mine had this poster hanging in his dorm room, and I'm going to show it to you. It's right here. Here it is right here. It's Charlie Brown standing on the mound holding a baseball, and it used to make me think about my Little League days. And this quote I still use sometimes, and I carry it around and I explain it. I didn't know if I could find the poster or not, but I found it this week just to drag over here. There's no heavier burden than a great potential. When people say, "Oh, you're an artist," it causes you to have great anxiety. You just go, "Oh no," and you freeze at the controls. Your pen just sort of stops up like your brain. It's when someone says, I have a friend who's a very prolific writer in this town, and he's done several wonderful books, and two of them have become films. And he says, "I write on the days that I write." That comment was relayed. I've met him several times and had coffee one time, but he's a close friend of mine, close friend of a closer friend who says, who's been writing a lot. And he's saying, "Wow, it's hard. You have to sit down and you have to think, I got to just free myself up here and let this go. I just have to start." I've been saying for 2 years, if you want to think like an artist and get over the stigma of you're an artist, and you go, "Oh no, now they think I'm an artist. They're going to expect something that I don't know if I can deliver." First of all, don't promise more than you deliver. Deliver more than you've promised. I just said that. It's probably been said before, but it just came out like that. Don't promise more than you can deliver. Deliver more than you promise. And so that's why in a whimsical painting, you can put a little detail in. That's why you can put your own little kick or spin on it. And people go, "Oh, I like what the artist did there." That's thinking like an artist. This is the stuff that I want to teach people. This is the stuff that you've partnered with me in already. When you say, "We're the Croosters, we're the Ruse Crew, we're the people who want to encourage others," you're already doing that. It's fantastic. So I love it when that painting comes up, or that poster comes up, and I thought about it with Schultz. So 18,000 panels, 2,600 newspapers, 300 million readers, 30 different, I think it's 30 different countries. I may have made a note, but I don't know where it is if I did. 70 countries, 300 million people. How many times did he paint Charlie Brown? Over and over and over and over and over and over. And he was a professional cartoonist. More than 50. 18,000 panels times 4 characters in each. And do you know that he didn't have a staff? I mean, I know he had people do other things for him, but he blocked them all. He inked them all. He sketched them all. He inked them all. He finished them all. He did that. That's what his heart was into doing. Talking about highly favored. And you think, well, it's just a cartoon. No, it wasn't. He has been, someone who wrote some interesting things about him said, and I don't remember the name of the guy. I remember the quote, and it was something like this. Charles Schultz has, I remember the paraphrase quote, Charles Schultz has told the longest human story for a human being on this planet ever. It's the longest running story ever been told by characters. You know, it's not like a movie. It's not like a sitcom that just only lasted 6 seasons or 3 seasons or canned after the pilot. This went on for years and years, 18,000 panels in a Sunday comic book, Sunday newspaper. Phenomenal. So sometimes when I think, oh no, I'm going to have to paint that again. Oh no, I messed that up. I'll have to paint it again. It doesn't bother me at all. And so part of that's I've just shucked it off and say, so what? I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do it again. What did we do last week? We sat down and I said, I bet if I told you some ways to paint a honeybee. Jason Nicholas said this word, and I'm going to give him credit for it. It's a word that's been around for a long time, but I don't know that I've heard it used in the last 20 years out of college when somebody would say biomimicry, which is where we mimic things we see in around. Pastiche, the French call it, when we take from other artists and we bring in an arm or a hand or a shape. Or people say the statue of David, whose right hand is enlarged, it's bigger than life because it's almost out of scale, because he said he wanted to show that's the hand that had the power to kill the giant that God directed, and it's probably the hand that worked, and maybe it's the hand that strummed the heart. Maybe it was soft and gentle, but it was strong. Great concept, isn't it? And so over and over and over, he painted that. Lots of other people have tried to do that, and foreshortening is the term. But we take from other places that we learn. We take a honeybee and we do our spin on it. We call, I put my spin on this. I put my spin on an onion, okay? I put my spin on a fly rod. I have to actually look up there and go, the reason I paint my fly rods green, and let me show you here, let me get back into picture, you can see what I'm flipping around here on the desk, is that up on the up on the shelf there is a fly rod, and the reel is green, and my rod is green, and it's in its bamboo case, but I know it is, and I like that flash of that green with a yellow line on it out on the stream, except for that 12 or 15 foot of clear leader that's supposed to disappear when I introduce the fly to the trout. It's the game that you play. So I love this concept of storytelling, and I was just amazed, and I wanted to share that with you, of Charles Schulz. Isn't that incredible? June Jones, thanks for being on the show. Karen Smith, Karen Brousseau from Alberta, thank you for being on the show. Very, very cold here, I can imagine. Sharon Clark, welcome to the show. Sharon Clark's a storyteller. Deborah Spangler, sledding at midnight for my 65th birthday. Come on, you rock. That is fantastic. I got to go again, she says, but our Saturday morning here begins with the Roodoodles crew. Have a sip of hot cocoa. I don't call it that. I call it hot chocolate. Cocoa sounds like Coco Chanel, which, okay. We'll talk design. Biomimicry. You think, see, I'm fast brain, right? Finding something in nature that you want to paint. So I've been doing bees over and over. Remember, I said around a few days, I'm going to get back to the bees. Kim Sheets, welcome. Lori Stanley, Hendelmeyer Henderson, and Westra, Pat Brooks, thank you for being on the show. Let's see. Let me just move. Denise Robinson, Jane Gillette, thank you for being here. Oh, I spotted a pen on the desk. Yes, you did. Look at that. Let's draw something with it, all right? This is this is what made me think of Charles Schulz. You know, some of my favorite artists over the years have used what I call dip, D-I-P, pens, D-I-P. And why do you call them dip pens? Because, you know, they dipped them into the inkwell. And then you pull the pen out of there, and then you write these great little things. And now the ink I'm using this morning is... there's just regular black ink. It's Higgins ink. It's sort of permanent, but you got to be careful with it. This is Suni ink. This is from Yasutoma Company, and I've just dumped a little bit of it in this plate here. I mean, seriously, I just opened it up like this. You got to be very careful with this stuff. This one doesn't have a dropper. Boop, and there, pour a little bit down in there. Put the lid back on. Trust me, I must put the lid back on right then. And I'll just lay that there. I don't have it in a well because I don't like to dip my pen all the way down in a well. I just sort of like to roll it in and keep it a little lighter when I'm drawing small objects. So yeah, I'm going to draw something with this morning, and we'll just let it go from there. It's a great little pen to sketch with, and you know, on the right piece of paper, man, it just takes off like crazy. See, I just drew a honeybee, and you didn't even see me do it. My point was in bees is that when we were talking about mimicking other things around us, like draw the fanny of the bee like a light bulb, and then do a little sunflower or a sun on his back, and then another little bubble with two eyes, and then his legs differently hinged than ours. They start thin and go thick instead of thick and go thin. Okay, our shoulder is wide here, it goes narrow. Bees are opposite. Insects are opposite that. So I wanted to. All this paper that I found on my desk that said, take me, take me. I wanted to grab a little piece this morning and see if we could just paint something on it. Here's a little piece right here. This is all, this is Canson. This is Kilimanjaro. I cut this in small pieces to carry inside my vest pocket right in here. It goes right in this little pocket here so that when I'm out and about with my little travel paints, and my water brush. And I've got a few minutes to kill somewhere. I'm waiting in line for something, or I'm, I was in a grocery store recently, and a lady had a rooster Mylar balloon. And I walked up, and they were waiting at the deli counter. And I said, hey, I need some smoked Gouda, some smoked cheddar. I need some roast beef. I got to make some steamed sandwiches. And I'm just sort of, I'm being myself. And they went, ooh, that sounds good. How do you make them? And I said, well, a little horseradish cheddar. I started through the sandwich. And I said, but wait, I have to ask you a question. Why are you holding a Mylar rooster? And the little girl said, well, she wasn't a little girl. She was home from college probably. But she said, oh, it's my birthday, and I've always loved roosters. And I go, oh, my gosh, really? And so I just reached in my vest pocket, pulled out a little 4x5 card, just like this one right here. And then I commenced to just go click with my pen. I got my pen always in my pocket. And I said, oh, my goodness, well, let's just see if we can do a little story for you. And so I just did this right here. And they both just stood there and leaned on the checkout, or on the their cart, while I doodled just like this. And I painted it, and they went, what? And they went, you just sketched that. And I went, you're observant. I mean, you just saw me sketch it. And I opened up this like here, and I said, excuse me, ma'am, can I move this over just a little bit? And so I just reached over on the top of the meat counter, because I'm tall enough to do that, the glass where all the hams and all the cheeses were. And I just pushed over this little display they had, which was a 8x10 something. It's something on sale. And I grabbed my little water brush like this, and I just dipped in like so, squeezed it, and went, okay, so why roosters? So she starts telling me the story of why she liked roosters. And I said, really? And she said, well, yeah, but how do you know how to paint roosters? And I said, my dear, I've been painting roosters longer than you've been on this planet. Well, not really, but close. And I said, because my name actually means rooster. And she goes, what? Impossible. And I go, well, no, it's not impossible. And so one thing led to another. And so they kept watching and going, are you kidding me? Is he doing this right now? So now the lady who's supposed to be cutting the meat, she's watching. And yes, the performer in me takes over. And I just start having fun. And I start putting this together. And I get some orange and a little bit of yellow in the pan. And I'm holding it up and I'm talking. And I'm thinking, I couldn't do this had I not done thousands of them. Couldn't have. Back to Charles Schulz, 18,000 panels. For heaven's sakes. So when someone said, hey, could you draw Charlie Brown for us just a little bit here, give me a little sketch, he could sit down in a heartbeat and do that little sketch that we all know. And for me, it was Charlie standing on the mound, holding the baseball, holding the glove, looking off. And you know the other side of the poster, it was where the full poster had Snoopy at the mound, and he was giving him a signal like fastball. That's the big poster. And the caption at the bottom said, there's no heavier burden than a great potential. So I had gone through this already, and I knew how to, in a matter of what? Now are we up to 2 minutes, and I stopped for a little bit? We could go up in 2 minutes. I knew that I could turn off one of these. And so for me, I just went, happy birthday. What's your name? Boom. She said it. Roo. And she, you know what they did? You know what they did? And I don't tell you this to be boastful. They said, excuse me, sir, could you take a picture of us? And so they come over, they're holding the balloon, and I'm standing there. And she said, I'm taking this back. I'm framing this and putting it in my dorm room. And I'm going like, well, I feel flattered. She goes, no, I'm so thankful. And so how fast can that happen when you're, she's got a story and now I have a story, all because I pushed through more than 50, more than 100, more than 150, and I built some muscle memory. And that's what this show is all about. Are you kidding me? It's almost 25 minutes and he just told us what the show was about. That's more than that. The show's about you thinking like an artist. When your grandkids come over someday and you're sipping there and one of them says, I've got this school project and I have to sketch a fishing rod or a bee building a bridge, a bee building a bridge, a bee bridge, and or a bee. And you can go, wait, let me show you something. You know how to do a bee? You do a bee by drawing a light bulb. And then eventually you won't even think light bulb. You won't even think the little sunshine on his back or the little bulb at the top. You won't even think of that. You will just have muscle memory to go into it. It's like when I've done now 100 and almost 200 lobsters. I just get there. I just go, okay, I know what to do. So when I paint something new for the first time, I sort of sketch it loosely, lightly, and it moves on. And I love the stories that paint causes, okay? Cindy Wiltermood, thanks for being on the show. Sue Kane, thank you for being on the show. Javine McCabe, Sue Kane over in, I think it's probably a little warmer where you are, Sue. I believe you're in summer. Alice Durham, 27 degrees in Bowling Springs. Woo-hoo-hoo. Jay Burke, thanks for being on the show. Karen McCreary. You guys are like weathermen. I know where it is all over the place. I don't need to go to the Weather Channel anymore. All I got to do is read the 10 degrees in Buffalo. Australia's in the house. Fern Skelly, thanks for being on the show. June Jones says, I love Highly Favored. Yeah, me too. Mary was highly favored, okay? You got it right in the Christmas story last week. Bonnie Frink, thank you. Freezing in North Carolina, she says. Yeah, it's been chilly down here. We do have, Pat, you're so right. There are a lot of hilarious croosters on this show. Denise says the canned phones really work. They work sometimes better than her smartphone. All right, let me paint some. Melina Phillips, thanks for being on here. John Robert Small, I think I said hello, but hello to you again, my friend. Marcel Fuentes, I think you are. Thank you for saying hello. Love it, love it, love it. Steve Catlett, maybe I've said that. Cam Lawson, golly, guys, I love it when you pile on this show and support what I'm doing here. Thank you. All right, so let me use this pen. Let me just grab a piece of paper here. Here's a piece with some dirt on it, but it's saying, paint with me, take me, take me. By the way, that's a cool little rooster, isn't it? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give this away. I'll give this away as a little simple birthday card, just painted right here on the show. And you can put somebody's name on it, whoever you want. Here we go. So every now and then I'll paint that bee. In fact, I'll do a bee and I'll do something else here. So I'm going to put on a little music and grab two pieces of paper. Here's a different piece. This is I think this is Fabriano. This is Canson. And this is one of those little 4x pieces or a piece of, trust me, I know what they are. They are, Kilimanjaro, which of course has to be my favorite paper. It just is. It's not a sponsored thing. It's just, I love this 100% rag cotton 140-pound paper. I've gotten used to it. I know how my pigments relate to it. Saw an interesting fact the other day from Joe Miller, Cheap Joe's Art Stuff. He said through one of his artists, when it's cold outside, and you remember the other day I was trying to paint up in Waynesville, North Carolina, the snow was still falling, the trees were gorgeous, and it was about 20 degrees. The water wasn't reacting right. The paint wasn't going anywhere. I just made a mess of an outdoor scene, which is, I'm not a landscape painter anyway. But I saw a post after this from Joe who said, if you're trying to paint outside or if you're trying to paint with very, very cold water, it affects the flow of your paint. So try painting with warmer water or even for sure room temperature water, but in the wintertime, maybe a little bit of warmer water. Why would I do that? Well, because the pigments release. What do you know about heat? It's a catalyst for everything, right? When I do metal work, it takes heat. When you do glass work, it takes heat. You want to bake bread? Oh yeah, it takes heat. When you let yeast rise, you cover it and you put it in a warm spot. Why? Because the heat reacts. When you're making corn whiskey and you put the corn in the barrel and you mash it with the sugar, oh yeah, I shouldn't know about all that, but it creates its own temperature and it starts to rise and the heat causes it to start to do what it does, ferment faster. My point is heat is a catalyst. Why would it not be true with watercolors? The emulsions, the pigment that's in here releases much better under heat. So If your water is warm, you're going to get more flow. You're going to get a different feathering to the paint. You heard it from Joe to me to review. There it is. Crazy, huh? Love painting with watercolor, I bet you're going to say. I've been alcohol ink for 2 years. Yeah, alcohol ink. Morning, Jason Nichols. I was just talking about you, my friend. I was talking about biomimicry. I've given you credit for throwing that word out, which I hadn't seen in 20 years. But I'm talking about how you learn how to paint things. So let's do that. While the bee's on my mind, let's do it real quickly here. I'll do a couple for you real fast. Here we go. So I said, just take, remember I told you to draw a light bulb. So you can do it that way if you want, just kind of a little light bulb. And notice now I'm not even drawing it too round. Why not? Well, because we're out in nature and things are rough and ready. And so there's a little bit of a ink in. And by the way, these lines that are crossing the bee's bottom, they don't have to be perfectly straight and you measure them in with the ruler. No. Just get some ink on the pen. All I'm doing here is I'm just laying my dip pen down in this well of ink. Can you see it right here? Look, it's a loosey-goosey. Got to be careful. All right, so I'm going to go in here, and they're actually cause some little spikes in them, and some of them don't even go all the way across. They just break a little bit. And I like the fact that I can just jag them up a little bit like so and let them run back. And then I'm going to go in with this, and then here comes my, here comes the sun, do-do-do-do. Here comes the sun, and I say, it's all right. You know, the bees are covered. Have you ever held one in your hand? They're covered with little hair follicles all over the place. They're little fuzzy guys. They were around before the teddy bear was ever invented. And then there's a little bulb on the top, amaryllis by morning. Man, my brain is just on nuts today, isn't it? All right, so there's that. And then what I can do now is the wings tend to come in about just right in this segmented body right here. And by the way, they hinge out like this. So sometimes you'll bring your wings back to the side of the bee and you'll come in like this. You'll come in here, then you'll come in here. No. It's not like an airplane wing. It's just really tight. The little hinge comes in really close. They're hinged in one place because the bee has this muscle across his back that pushes that out. Now, and so I can just go out here with a little bit like that. There's my wings. There's the two little antennae, like so. And then I'll dip my pen one more time. I got a leg that comes up this way. There it is. There's a little thicker at the top, thinner at there. One that comes down this way and just kind of hangs there like so. And then there's a big leg that comes out here. The big leg they call Gitchigumi. Edmund Fitzgerald, right? Man, my mind just really races sometimes. I don't know. Okay, so there's this bee with this scratchy little dip pen. I think you can hear that sound. Isn't that cool? All right, so what I do then is maybe I just cross hatch a little bit here with whatever ink's left in this pen. There it is right there. Maybe just a little bit more here. Maybe some cross hatch right in here. I'm running out of ink. I'm barely going to touch my pen in that ink and just pick up a little bit to cross hatch with right there. And then I'm going to come in here and just do one more little black stripe right here. I'm going to touch this with a paintbrush with a little color so you can just see it come together. But if you look at that, you see this scratches. I just really have scratched this bee into existence. I'm going to grab a bigger brush than I need to. So I'm going to grab a small little rigger brush, and this is a number one rigger, R-I-G-G-E-R. This is a Cheap Joe's brush. It's a number one interlock nylon, American Journey. And then I'm just going to go get some, wet this paint just a little bit right here. Just spray. What I did was under my big old head, I just grabbed my palette. You know, I paint out of this palette. These are American Journey paints. They're just put in a Van Gogh box because I like it small. I don't use much mixing, but I just took a mister and I just sprayed it around like this. Okay, I could actually, I run the risk of messing that up, but I could. I'll try it in a minute and see what happens. All right, here we go. See, I just got a wild idea and I might try it. So here's what I'm doing. I'm just taking a pretty wet brush in this little rigger and I'm just dropping in some of this and I'm letting it hit the ink. And look what happened right there. This is really taking off. One thing you'll figure out on different papers, listen to me, on rag cotton paper, the ink If you're using black ink, it lays differently and it doesn't dry as fast as it does on some smoother papers. And you go, well, that doesn't seem right. No, the facets hold it up a little bit and let more air get to it. When you're on a piece of smooth paper or polished paper or hot press paper, the fibers have been pressed down and the paper dries faster. It soaks it quicker. So you got to know what you're painting on. Thus, Charles Schulz probably ate 13,000 of these things before he. Now this, I'm just going to have to touch it in here because if I get too much water in here, what's going to happen is it's going to go black on me because of all the ink that I used and the style of ink I used. I want a little bit of brown here, just some brown up in here. Bees have a lot of brown in them. And then I want a little of this brown pushed out this way. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go get some buff, I almost said Buff Orpington, but that's a chicken, isn't it? That's what started all this, roosters and chickens. Then I'm just going to push that with my finger and let that paint interact with let the paint interact with the ink that's on there and let it push it sort of a different gray. And it's fine if it gets moved out. I'm going to grab a little bit of black. So I'm not even thinking about my light bulb and my sunshine anymore. I mentioned it, but it's really not as important to me now as just getting into my muscle memory's been built that I know where all these little places are in the bee that give me everything that looks like a honeybee. Okay, so there's your little honeybee. Watch this. This is a misting bottle. Okay, very fine nozzle. It's just clear water. I'm just going to give this little bee a spray and then back off and just let that spray go in there and react. So what's happening is, let me see if I can pull the camera in for you. Okay, here we go. Having a hard time focus because the light is on it, but you can see what's happened up in here where that little bit of the mist hit it. So I'm going to hit it again, even for the sake of ruining this painting, so you can just see. Watch this wing right here when I take this and do one little pump of spray in it. Okay? You can't see it, but what I can see is I see this little softness pop up in here, and I see this wing soften up. It's absolutely the most fun stuff I ever get to do in watercolor. It's just I got to go in and paint something well, and then sometimes there's a time where you put the brush down and back away, and other times you just keep playing. You have to decide when that is. There's no set rule. There are times before you get too carried away and you ruin a painting, but in this case I think I got a little bit of leeway and I aced it out. And that is a pretty doggone good honeybee, just painted in a matter of minutes here by me thinking what you did the other day. I'm telling you now, after 30 or 40 bees this week that I've painted, I'm beginning to get muscle memory. So, and I've painted more than that in my painting because I've always been painting them as rooster storytellers. They hang in there with the rooster. What I'm doing now is I don't even think light bulb or sun anymore. I just sort of, I've got it down to where I just go for it. Charles Schulz, 18,000 panels. Do you think he could draw Charlie Brown's head and those little eyes and that little face with the little turned down lips going like, hey, no heavier burden than a great potential, okay? Think like an artist. All right, let me go back now to here, this shot right here, get a little bigger page. Not too, I'm gonna keep it right in there for you. See if I can get a focus point. That looks pretty good. And I have to focus that camera manually once I change cameras up there. All right, so there's a little bee, and you know what? I'll put that bee out on Etsy. That's a fun bee for somebody to have who collects honeybees. Ones that won't sting you. All right, let's try another little painting here that I'll show you today with this. Got to have some music for this one, I think. Here we go. All right. Love painting with water. About the camera, is it a IPVO? Interfaces with my computer. It zooms in and out. Yeah, the reason that's interesting, and about the camera, it is not an IPEVO because I don't even know what that is. And my camera is a Canon, a professional DSLR camera that I actually use for my video production. it interfaces with a Macintosh computer. I'm all on Mac, and I don't use Zoom. This is another company that I use called Ecamm. And so all of this is done through a streaming app that lets me insert videos and build scenes and forms and pull things in. And so it's kind of a fun thing that I can reach down at any point in time, a little easier than some people can, and say, oh, let me show you these lobster trays that I made for Christmas. Boom, and there they are. If they would pop in, boom, just like that. And so I can reach in and pull those in. These trays have boat cleats on them. The point is, I use this because for me it's a better teaching tool than sometimes Zoom, where there's all these people on there and there's noise and your mics aren't muted. It's not that I don't want to hear you guys, but I interrupt myself enough as it is. We'd never get through a class. So, Jane, I think the calligraphy skills I'm teaching does their mini. Yeah, they do their mini workshops on Zoom. Zoom's probably a little cheaper than the route that I've taken, but it can be kind of confusing sometimes when you get hundreds and hundreds of people on there. It can get crazy. Thanks for asking. And Jane, if you want to send me an email on any of that, I'll do my best. You know, withhold nothing is one of my doodle fiddle piddle non-rules. If I know it, I'll give you an answer. I'm not protecting. It's not like I got a recipe that somebody doesn't know. Somebody's done this better than me and still doing it better than me for years. And some of you paint better than me, so have fun with it. But send me a note if you want. What did I say? No, Jason, all you said was you had posted a word called biomimicry, which is finding things in nature that look like other things. And I used that word a couple weeks ago talking about painting a bee. So it was a good comment. All right, here we go. Let me show you how to paint something else. I noticed somebody said, going to try some wax medium. Woo-hoo-hoo. Boy, it's tough, and it takes some things to getting into. I've been talking to my students, Jason says, about the power of connection through doing a simple sketch. I think that's more important than the sketch sometimes. I think if I connect with it, if I connect with what the sketch is saying, I'm going to show you an example of that. Here, I'm going to use this dip pen again just because it's laying out here. And what made me pull it out is I was watching Charlie Mackesy sketch something. You know, he wrote the boy, the mole, the horse, and the fox, or I don't have those together, but the boy, the horse, the fox, and the mole. The book that's been a mega bestseller for the last 2 or 3 years, and it's going to turn into, it's unbelievable. Carol follows him on Instagram, and he responds back sometimes. He's just a remarkable man. This is way too big, what I just did, but we'll do it anyway. Now that I've drawn it, I just wasn't thinking when I did it, but I did it anyway. So, this is very cartoonish. This pen makes me feel like a cartoonist, even though I'm so far away from that in my own life and skills. I have a friend named Dave Baisden, who is absolutely a phenomenal artist. Worked with some architectural firms for quite a few years, doing a lot of their graphic arts and a lot of their layout stuff, and even colored in some of their work. I hired him to work on some of Dr. Jim Poole when we were working with FastBrain. I hired him to work on some of Dr. Poole's blogs that we were doing at the time, and so they needed some artwork, and so Baisden could pull that together. And also another project we were working on for Gordon Conwell Seminary. And I'd say, hey, I need this. I need a compass that's showing this, and he'd go, oh, okay, like this. And I'd go, what? talking about muscle memory and bees. You know, I've looked at a lot of honeybees. I've looked at my dad's honeybee books. I've read my dad's honeybee books. I've held honeybees in my hands. I've been covered with honeybees. I've been stung by a lot of honeybees. You know, and he goes, oh no, don't worry. I know. I said, I need you to draw a little horse and a jockey here for this little thing. I'm talking about horses on this. He goes, yeah, okay. Shh. So there are some of you who have that ability. I do not. So that's why you have shows like this to help you teach it. Why would I be painting a pea pod? I don't know. It just came to me here because it's something I did a few weeks back, maybe a few months back. Just these little peas down in this pod. And my mother used to say this all the time about my brother. Some of you are going to quote it before I even say it. You're going to say, and by the way, don't try to paint things too neatly, because in nature, things aren't neat. You know, you don't go out there and you don't see things with a straight edge ruler. If you see things that have been leveled up perfectly and have a completely beautiful straight edge, it was probably done by a man trying to model nature. Nature itself has curves and circles and not true circles, but you know, round places, yes. But you say, oh, look at that, it's round. You go, no, it's not. The rock's not round. It's got, you know, made me think how good David had to be, because the 5 smooth stones he picked up were probably just really rough. Watch this. This will be a fun little thing to watch. I'm just take this pen and put it right there. Just make a couple little spots with it. You see where that's wet? It just bled a little bit onto it. So this ink comes in on top of that and just goes mushrooms out. I love that look. It just blows my mind how that comes together. These peas have a little spot here where they're connected on the inside. They just don't draw in there. So what do we got here? We got a little pea pod that I've actually took some brown and some black and I've messed it up a little bit, and I've got in here, and it's got some wrinkles in it. It's been ripped open right here. Got some dots on it. There's maybe a little branch of a leaf coming off right there that just got broken when you cut the pea loose from its vine. And so basically, man, where to peas in a 5. Man, we're 2 peas in a 5. There are 5 of us. Stop leaving us out. There's your painting. Hey, my first storytellers. So all this little paper that keeps saying, paint me, paint me, paint me. I love painting on it. It's just so fun to do these little sketches and little drawings. And I throw them over here in a box, and they'll wind up in an auction for a few dollars a piece, or I'll put them on Etsy. I think I posted something yesterday. I'd gotten lots of emails the last couple of weeks of people saying, hey, where can we look at some of your work, or where can we find some just, you know, some of those paintings that are just like you just being random. Well, that's where Etsy is. Go to Etsy. They're there. All right. Let's grab a pen. Here's one right here. Let's grab this pen. This is an XL Gel Extreme 05. This is made by Yasutoma. And I like this pen. It's really... My paintings all started with this. My paintings all started with these little French blue hens. Paint with water first. Got a small little number 5, nope, number 5? Little number 5 watercolor brush here, American Journey. Just throwing some water on there, just up into the comb, down on here, just bringing it in like this. There's a drop. Look, it's picking up that pen and it's bleeding the pen already. Got to know how the pens bleed. Gonna grab some French blue, just a little bit of it here, make sure it's plenty wet, and just come across the top, and then turn it up like this, and let it just run down. Look at that. You don't see me brushing like this. I'm just letting my brush dance in here. I'm just causing little, this is like playing in the stream when you're a kid. That's exactly what this is like. It's like, hey, if I make a little ditch here, the water runs that way. If I make a little ditch here, the water runs that way. That's all I'm doing with my brush. I'm making these little tributaries so that it runs. And here I'm leaving those holidays. If I want a little bit of color in there, I'll reach over into my palette right here in the corner, and I'll get a little bit of what I call French gray. Might have just a touch of yellow in it, but it's okay. And I'll just drop some of that in there like so. Give it a little bit of a mottled a mottled look. That's a good word, isn't it? Mottled. It's very British. Or English. Or that's not Irish. It's more Scottish, isn't it? Yes. All right. So all these little creatures were storytellers. So the reason I'm doing this morning is that you come to the first of the year and you think, what am I going to do? Excuse me. What am I going to do with my art? What am I going to do? What am I going to paint? What am I going to do? Just keep painting what you've been painting and just get better at it and better at it, better at it. And one day you'll wake up, those of you who are highly favored, you wake up when you're highly favored, and you'll go, hey, you know what? I am going to find what that guy's been talking about for almost 2 years now. I am going to find my visual voice, and I'm going to realize that I'm not tired of painting this. These are my storytellers, but then so are the other little creatures that I do. They can be bees, they can be balloons, they can be fruits and vegetables, they can be anything that I choose. I promise you, this just came to me right then. Seriously? Circus broilé? Is that just funny to me? Maybe so. But if you've ever seen Circus Olé, you know that they do some pretty funky, random stuff. And so I think it's funny. The innocence of children. Hey, we could be Circus Broilé. All right, I got to put an eyeball in this hen, and I do a little piece like that. And sometimes I give the hen little eyelashes there like so, and then I'll do a little wing down here with that pen. I love these extreme gel Yasutoma pens because they sometimes like my Pentels with the needle point. This is very much like a needle point. It will bleed into the paint if I come back in when the paint is just getting dry. I'm going to do a little bit of a green grass underneath this right here. Just grab a little bit of mixed greens. Let me show you. Chip talks about greens all the time. There are probably 6 different greens in here. I have an earthen green. I have olive green. I have a sap green. I have a spring green. I have a green, just a big green. I have Mr. Green Jeans from the old Captain Kangaroo show. I have all these greens in here, and sometimes I'll just reach in and get them all. I don't need to know what they are. I just want to make grass out of them, and so I'll just kind of come in like that. And I'll grab one and I'll just grab it. That one's a little yellow, so I'll come back in and put a little bit of this greener one with it, and it's over here. And then I'll just kind of come in here and let my pen be a paintbrush and let it just push some of that green up as it does with the ink. And so there is my little Circus Broilé. I think that's worth signing. Okay, and that just came to me. See, and so those of you who write captions, I'm going to tell you one quick thing that I do. I don't need to go steal somebody else's caption. I don't need to go get songs out of a look. It's fine if you're doing inspiration and you want to put a scripture verse on there or the song. Be careful how you use words from songs. You got more grace using songs, using captions out of the Bible and verses than you do using pop songs, because if you put somebody's song on your lyrics, we talked about this 2 years ago. I used to have people who come on and say, hey, I've illustrated this and I've put a chorus of one of my favorite songs on it. I'm going like, did you talk to the artist? Because they might not be happy about you selling your work that has their words on it. It is their property. They copyright that stuff. And so I don't want to do that, because I like to thinking like an artist, that I'll come up with something that nobody else has ever thought of before. Noodle, doodle, fiddle, piddle may have coincidences that, there's nothing new under the sun. But my point is that these are things in my life that sort of came out of there, Withhold nothing was something that Carol said and that I used to say to our children, withhold nothing. And I've used my over and over. By the way, I got to tell you this. I shared a very important biscuit recipe from Carrie Morey, which is Kelly's Little Hot Biscuits in Charleston, Atlanta. I shared that on the show. And I sent it to her, but I gave her the credit. And I said, Carrie, this is your recipe. We saw you do it on TV. We printed out the recipe. I've made them several times. I showed them to my painting. And by the way, send me your address. I want to send you a painting. They sent me an address. I sent them the painting. 2 days ago, Wednesday, 3 days ago, I received an envelope, opened it, no return address, opened it up, and there was a handwritten note from Carrie with one of her business cards and said, oh my gosh, thank you so much for sharing our little biscuit recipe, and thank you for our original painting. Because I'd put white lily in there, and I'd put biscuits and little peeps and all this. It's this storytelling style. And she sent me a personal note. Now, why did that mean a lot to me? Well, PBS has just picked her up for a new TV show, but she had time to stop and say, hey, thank you for sending us a painting. It's like when Carol and I go through Libby's store of the Gardener's Cottage, and we've been following these. She bought these bulbs, these paper whites and amaryllis, and now they're growing out of this beautiful soup tureen, and it's blue china, and they're just coming up, and now they're 22 inches tall, and they burst into blooms yesterday. Absolutely gorgeous. I should put a picture on the show. I didn't buzz it over from my phone. Absolutely incredible. So we sent her a picture and said, thank you for making our house smell good and look beautiful. That stuff is what you're doing with your friends and neighbors. That's the encouragement that you're giving other people. Okay? So 3 little paintings today to tell you, do I ever get tired of the storytelling and the connection with these sketches as Jason is teaching his architectural students? If I don't have a connection with the plate that I'm drawing to put a bridge together, if I don't care for making bolt heads, then I'm going to get somebody killed when the bridge fails. I love bolts and nuts and hardware and all those things. So I want you to connect to what it is you're sketching and find the story in there. Charles Schulz, after 18,000 panels, many characters per panel, never got tired of telling his story through those characters. Never. Do I want to do a Schulz cartoon? No. I have my characters that I do. Everything from onions and beets to bees to roosters to chickens to hens to peeps, because they are the storytellers to me. Take a sip of your tea. Your coffee. And whoever comes to mind right now, connect with them today. Send them a little note. Love to end the show on this thought. You're just thinking, hey, before you go out sledding again, just send somebody a little text and say, hey, just thought of you. Made me laugh about last time you sent me this, or I gave you this, or you gave me this recipe that I want to do this week. It's that sort of thing that you can just connect. Hope you're well. Some of you have been remembered in thoughts and prayers. A person on the show who just come through some procedures. Thank you for keeping up with that person. Thank you for keeping up with Karen. All right. So, hey, I'll go back through these a little later this morning. Let's see. I was going to do something. What was it? Oh, happy birthday. Here it is. I'm going to draw a name right now. Give this away. I'm going to the bottom all the way to the top. Thanks for liking this show. Thanks for loving it. Thanks for being on. Thanks for sharing it. And soon I'm going to tell you how you can be a part of this. I'm going to do something different this year. I'm just going back and forth to make sure I'm all the way to the top and all the way to the bottom. I'm going to turn around, and on my screen, I'll see 3 names in the middle. I'll throw out the top one, the bottom one. I'll take the one in the middle. That's how I get to this. So I'm looking at you, not there, and the names are scrolling by so fast I can't read them. And the last little push, and boom. And the winner is Bonnie McGeehee. Says, good morning, Roo, from Central Illinois. Bonnie, M-E-G-E-H-E. You might know somebody who's having a birthday. I'm going to send you this little birthday card, which is my story about a young lady. And it's just a quick little, you saw me do it here on the show. But hey, send it to somebody. It's an original little birthday card. Or if it's your birthday, keep it yourself. Pin it to your wall and say, hey, Roo painted me a birthday card. Bonnie, if you'll send me an email at roodoodles@gmail.com, roodoodles@gmail.com. There are some bees. There are some bees, peas, and please take a look at my Etsy store. I'm going to post some of this out there. There's already some. There's another one of these that sold at auction the other day. I love this quote. I just thought of it the other morning. If there were no bees, there would be no need for biscuits. And that would be a sad day. So help save the bees. Mike Paramore sent me a note and said, hey, man, I'm a struggling artist. And I said, aren't we all? And here's the kind of honey that I have. And I said, dude, send me some honey. I'm going to send you a honey bee. I love it very much. All right. Thank you much. Appreciate y'all being on the show. I am out of here. We have a garden with our friends. 2 ears of corn, 7 green beans, and all the zucchini you could ever eat was the total crop. There you go. That's all you need. That is a salad. Cut that zucchini in little bitty thin slices. Dip it in a little bit of an egg wash with some milk. Lightly flour it and drop it in some oil to fry. And then put a tzatziki sauce on it. Oh, man, I got to go cook. Actually, I'm going to have juice. I'm juicing all the month. And when I say juicing, I'm talking about celery and carrots and apples and ginger, fresh ginger, and a lemon. And a cucumber, and all that goes in. That's been my lunch the last few days. Thanks, Debbie. I appreciate your comment. I'll check in with some of you. Here we go.